Hi, I'm Katie Myatt, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself and why I homeschool. Firstly, I am a mom to 5, and I am beginning my 7th year of homeschooling this year. I absolutely love it. I am passionate about home education. Before I began homeschooling, however, I was a public school teacher for grade 7 through 12. I've also taught at our local community college as well as in our prison. And I've had some experience teaching with homeschool co-ops and such. So I have a little bit of experience with education, and I'd love to share some of my other thoughts. So, reasons why I homeschool. There are about 4 of them. And I can sum them kind of up in a nutshell, and that would be that I want my children to live their lives and learn with me alongside. So that kind of covers the big picture. Individually, however, my biggest reason that we're homeschooling is because of our faith. I believe that as Christians, we're called to teach our children all the time and to really immerse them in Christian faith. And the best way for me to do that is through our homeschool experience. Secondly, my biggest reason is academics. I'm using my notes here just to remind myself, but I think homeschooling is a superior academic route. Homeschooling allows parents to challenge their students wherever they are, in different subjects, wherever their passions are, whatever their strengths and weaknesses are, where their personalities are. One thing that I've learned as an educator is that children do not learn uniformly across the ages, across, all 4th graders learn exactly the same thing at the same pace. One boy's brain may be prepared to learn fractions in September, but another boy's brain might not be ready for that until March. And in the meantime, that second boy might be held back or fail for a quarter or so in math because his brain wasn't prepared for that. It sets him up for failure when he's just not ready to learn it. On the other hand, some of our children are very gifted in some subjects and need to be challenged. And so they are reading or writing or doing math on a level that's much further beyond where their grade level is. So homeschooling allows us to meet those kids and always be challenging them regardless of what their age is or what their grade level is. For example, my 10-year-old was tested for the first time last year when she was 9, and she tested on 3 different grade levels for math, writing, and reading comprehension. Her math was in 4th grade, her writing level was at 6th grade, and her reading level was at grade 13. So for me to place her into a grade 5 curriculum would be to fail her across the board. She wouldn't be challenged appropriately in any subject level. So homeschooling is able to meet that without making the child feel badly about their weaknesses or strengths. The great thing about homeschooling academically is that the parent gets to choose and control what and how the student learns. So in New York State obviously teaches us and tells us that there are certain subjects that we have to teach, but we have enormous leeway within those subject areas in terms of what information you give to that student. So history, for example, you have a lot of history that can be covered, especially in the elementary years, lots of different ways of presenting history. So you can use your child's passions to inform on how you want to teach them. So I just want to give an example of that. A child learns best when they're exposed to a variety of texts and books and means of communication. But you may know, for example, that your child loves horses, for example. So if you want your child to write a report, that child is already going to have a bulk of knowledge about horses, and she's going to be more excited to look horses up and to learn about them when that's already her passion. So you can use that to your advantage. Likewise, your son may hate reading history textbooks, but he may be fascinated by learning about the intricacies of a battle, of civil war. So you can use those things you know about your child. Okay. Secondly, you have control over how you teach your kid. You know your child best. You know whether he's wiggly, whether he can't sit still, whether she needs to listen to music, whether she can't remember anything she reads, but she loves to hear a story read aloud. You may know that they hate to be lectured to. Some kids love to pore over crafts and Legos for hours. You can use that to your benefit to get them learning the best way. So I homeschool. My second big reason is for the academics, because my ultimate goal is to get them to love learning. I kind of hate this cliche, but teachers are not just filling a box. So the curriculum you get, you're looking at the topics and the contents. Ultimately, though, what you want to do is you want to light a fire for learning. That's your goal. It's not just to make sure they get all the names and dates of the Civil War and make sure they know their nouns and verbs. And that stuff's important, yes, but you have to get them engaged. You also want them to be a confident, competent adult one day. All right, so that's my first one is faith. My second reason for homeschooling is academics. My third one is relationships. Being with your children all day long is something that is different for some families, but it definitely makes your memories and your relationships so much stronger. Relationships from parent to child and also relationship among siblings is just amazing. The difference that I see with my children in how they react and interact with their siblings is really important. The last reason that I homeschool, my fourth one, is that I really want my children to have life skills that go beyond what your public school might teach you. So I'm always keeping in the back of my head that I'm teaching my child to be an adult, how to be a responsible adult, who thinks critically, who can debate logically, who can write coherently, who can figure properly. I also keep in mind that I'm an adult and I don't know all the information that I'm teaching my kids. So I keep this in mind. Why am I teaching my children to know this information? And I also helps them to understand why they have to learn it. So what I love most about homeschooling is that my kids live life near me. They live life right next to me. They come with me on our errands, and they get to see what being an adult looks like, and they get to take part in it, and they get excited about it. Everything that happens in our home becomes a lesson. When we have a baby, when we have somebody has their appendix out, when we have a leaky faucet, we use those examples and those incidents in our lives to teach our kids adult life skills. So this helps us to keep a practical focus on what's really important about raising our children to become great adults. So those are my 4 reasons for homeschooling. There are many, many more, but in a nutshell, I love homeschooling because it gives me the chance to live life next to my children, and we can live and learn together. And hopefully that will create lifelong learners in my children. Thank you.